Welcome to Super Media Runners, where we run the media to you. This is part 3 of our Small Soldiers Iceberg. If you missed parts 1 and 2, be sure to check out our Iceberg playlist to catch up. But for now, let's dive into the final tier, Tier 5. The Gorgonite's quest book was written by one of the Small Soldiers screenwriters, Gavin Scott, and is the unofficial sequel of the Small Soldiers movie. Written for children between the ages of 9 and 12, the book takes place where the first movie ends, with the Gorgonites sailing out in their new toy boat, establishing a fortress on an island, meeting a boy named Max, and confronting the Commando elite again. I have not been able to find more of the pages of the book itself besides the cover on Amazon, so I would love anyone in the comments who have the book to provide more details on the book itself in the comments below. For those that own the 12-inch Small Soldiers official action figures for Chip Hazard and Archer, you will notice that their voices are not Tommy Lee Jones or Frank Langella, and are likely sound-alikes. In addition to selling vintage Small Soldier toys, eBay also has several knockoff and bootleg Small Soldier toys that are put in unofficial packaging and tend to be half-ass molds of some of the original toys. Some well-known bootlegs were figures produced in Mexico that included Archer, Insaniac, Chip Hazard, Nick Nitro, and Kip Killigan. They come in various color variations. For instance, Archer ranges from traditional red to blue, green, and black loincloths. Some of these knockoff Archer figures also feature accessories like a crossbow attached to the right forearm guard, while Insaniac comes with his ball and chain. The total production quantity is unknown, and there are additional figures that have been branded or named Little Soldiers and Extreme Soldiers, along with an Archer-inspired figure from something called the Guardian Patrol toy set. One of the rarest unproduced Small Soldier toys from Kenner Figures included a gimmick called the Battle Changing toy line, with one being a transforming Chip Hazard and the other being an Archer with a roar opening mouth gimmick, the latter of which still gets fake listings on eBay from time to time. Thanks for the info on this, Shluklov. One interesting thing that Small Soldiers merchandise has going for it is rarely having the main human characters in this department, focusing solely on the Gorgonite and Commando elite characters. But looking through eBay listings, there's some pretty cool Inks Works trading cards that include some of the human characters in the film, along with a brief bio. The original cast for the Commando Elite was the idea of having the original cast of Predator, with Arnold Schwarzenegger taking the role of Major Chip Hazard, but was later changed to the Dirty Dozen cast we know them as today. I just want to read it out, this really funny board game review by someone named Kevin Outlaw of the official Small Soldiers board game, as it gives insight on how the game, as well as the accompanying features and mechanics that made it unique. Link in the description below if you'd like to learn more about the game. So from Kevin Outlaw's review, the aim of the game is to capture the enemy's flag or send all the enemy fighters to the toy store, i.e. kill them. This is achieved using everybody's favorite randomizer, the spinner. In this case, a spinner that is actually integrated into the board. Oh. On your turn, you spin the spinner and then you do what it says. If you spin a number, you can move one of your fingers the full amount. If you spin the draw a card result, you draw a card. If you spin the recruit result, you can bring one of your dead fighters back to life. The card you can draw are not actually cards at all. They are little hexagonal tokens that get stacked up next to the spinner. The tokens provide the second level of randomness for those people who didn't find the spinner random enough to begin with. The tokens come in a variety of exciting flavors, but most of them confer a bonus to the fighter they are allocated to. Weapon +1, weapon +2, and armor +1 all give bonus when rolling a dice to fight. And yes, weapon +1 and armor 1 are exactly the same thing with different names, while move +1 and move +2 give you a movement bonus. All such tokens are discarded after the fighter is involved in a battle or is removed from the board for any reason. There are two other kinds of tokens which are used and then discarded immediately. The first is Globotech Recall, which hilariously allows you to pick an enemy fighter to kill instantly because random death is fun. The other token reads Launch Catapult and allows you to do something slightly less boring. Oh yes, didn't I mention? This game features a dexterity element. Every time you draw a special token, you take the plastic catapult, bend it back, and then fling the plastic wrecking ball across the table. If you knock any fighters down, they are removed from the game. This actually sounds a lot more fun than it is, mainly because in adherence to the theme that is above and beyond the Call of Duty, all the characters on the good side have really wide bases that hardly ever fall over. One has a massive triangular base, for goodness sake, while all the characters on the evil side have tiny bases and fall over if you breathe too heavily. This makes it almost impossible for the evil players to rely on the catapult to kill anything. Luckily, there is another way to kill your opponent. You can battle an enemy fighter by standing next to him and rolling a dice. Your opponent gets to roll 2, and the person who rolls the lowest is removed from the game. If both players roll skull, then both figures are removed from play. Yeah, that's right. It's a good old-fashioned dice-off for those people who didn't think the spinner and the cards were random enough. Of course, if you have randomly spun the chance to randomly draw a card that might randomly be a power-up, you might have a marginally better chance of randomly rolling a better result than your opponent. The only thing that won't be random is your level of interest in the game by that point, which will have bottomed out shortly after putting the three-dimensional board together for the first time. You win the game by killing everyone or placing one of your fighters on the same spade as your opponent's flag. The good news is, the designer realized these rules might be a little lightweight for some gamers, so some variant rules were thrown into the back of the rulebook to spice things up. These rules include starting the game with a hand of 5 cards of which you can play a single card before taking your turn as normal, and B, allowing you to move all of your fighters when you spin a movement result rather than just a single fighter. These variant rules don't really add any strategy and don't really reduce the level of luck involved, but they do make the game mercifully brief. You may have noticed that this sounds like a game for only 2 players. Well, fear not. If you have 4 willing victims, everyone can play in an exciting team variant in which each player will control 3 fighters. This variant adds extra enjoyment in the form of player elimination. If your 3 fighters are killed, you have to sit out until the game ends, or some mean bastard revives one of your dead fighters. And that's your lot. Yes, it's a children's game, and perhaps I shouldn't expect too much from a children's game, but damn it, I've played other children's games that have been really good. I play crossbows and catapults all the time, and I have a blast. No, I don't think the fact that this is a children's game excuses the sloppy design. I guess this is the set of small soldiers destined to my daughter's sandpit after all. A bunch of monsters and soldiers should give those Sylvanians something to worry about. Here are just a few Gorgonite tidbits from all of the media surrounding small soldiers that I found interesting. Most of the designs of the Gorgonite were inspired by the He-Man Masters of the Universe toy line, hence the radically different creature designs of each Gorgonite. Nibble is a Gorgonite from the PS1 Small Soldiers video game and the only Gorgonite that can fly. Aside from the PS1 game showcasing the Gorgonite's home of Gorgon, the fictional land of Gorgon has been cited to be a distant planet according to Erwin Wayfair's secret dossier. If you combine this with how the PS1 game story plays out, the Commando Elite were somehow able to invade the planet Gorgon through their technology, which would explain why the Gorgonites' lore in their toy would end up lost on Earth, as the game explains that they do have dimensional temples and weird portals that act as gateways from one world to another. Now, here are just a few Commando Elite tidbits from some of the media around small soldiers that I also found interesting. The Commando Elite were likely inspired by the G.I. Joe toy line, a popular military action figure. Link Static was portrayed to be the communications and tech expert of the Commando Elite and was never seen with any official weapons from his box, nor indication of having a signature weapon in the promotional materials, which theorizes that he may have served as the medic of the team as well, possibly. However, in the Squad Commander PC game, he was given a flamethrower. Towards the end of the movie, Erwin states that each Commando Elite figure was $79.95, making a full set of the Commando Elite roughly $480. Another entry about Flat Chew thanks to Blake the Seamster for providing that information and the concept work behind it. So before the original 7 Gorgonites, there was apparently an earlier draft where there was 9 Gorgonites. One of these Gorgonites was Warto. He was described as a creature stung by 1,000 killer bees and wore a helmet with bat wings. However, most of the concept art and sculptures never show him wearing this helmet. Of course, the 9 Gorgonites were cut down to the 7 Gorgonites, and the 2 who were removed were Warto and Scarpuss. Warto's design would later be transferred over to the toy's design we now know as Flat Chew. The writers of the Small Soldiers script include Gavin Scott, Adam Rifkin, Ted Elliott, and Terry Rossio. Through the magic of the editing process, many drafts and versions of a final script would change both the tone, characters, and even entire scenes that are different from what we end up getting on the big screen. In this case, this 1997 Small Soldier script draft, or as we will call it, the Adam Rifkin draft, has huge differences when comparing to the final film we would end up getting. Thanks again to Blake the Seamster for providing this entry. I will make the link to the script available in the description below, but here are just a few major differences that this script makes when compared to the final film. Alan Abernathy's family are now humble farmers that use oil lamps and candles. Alan has a friend named Marshall. Alan's love interest, Christy, now has the name Charity. Alan ends up getting Major Chip Hazard and Archer through a raffle at the mall that his friend Marshall put him under. Instead of the Gwendy dolls attacking Christy, they are called Cindy dolls, which the Commando Elite turned into Zom Cindies. The way that the toys can be destroyed were their kill buttons, which would press them and deactivate them rather than using an EMP blast to kill them. There was also a lot more absurdist and adult humor, with a scene where Larry attempts to flirt with Gilmar's secretary, in which he makes fun of the size of his man bits, as well as Erwin Wilfer having a box on his head when meeting the family because he has not been outside of his office in years. The only thing I can find about this style guide was from a user on Reddit under r/lostmedia describing it in a post. I'm in search of the Small Soldiers Digital Style Guide 2 CD box set released in 1998. It contains promotional materials and design elements that were used to promote and market the film around the time. This included fonts, graphics, line art, box art, logos, that sort of thing. But more importantly, it apparently contains 360 images of the studio maquettes of each character/toy. These haven't been released online that I've seen for over 25 years now. Proper images of the characters and their designs are hard to come by nowadays. Not a lot of the content from that film exists, with it being released just on the cusp of the internet, but what does still exist will be on these CDs. They pop up every few years or so, but they fall immediately into the hands of collectors who seem unwilling to share what is on them. Here's an image of the front of the box along with photos of the discs themselves. Troglodyte is an interesting character in the movie, as he's the only Gorgonite that was ripped apart and seemingly killed by the Commando Elite. However, thanks to his fellow Gorgonites, he was put back together with whatever parts remained and a ham radio. Despite being known as Troglodyte, even Archer calling him by his name in the movie, merchandising and games have named him Freakenstein. But why? According to the official Small Soldiers scrapbook, Joey Roscoe, a co-designer at Stan Winston Studio, originally Freakenstein was just a toy that was put together very strangely. The producers liked the design so much that they added in the story that prior to his transformation in Freakenstein, he was Troglodyte, Archer's right-hand man. Shout out to Schleckikoff for providing this entry in the comments. The previously lost Small Soldiers manga, illustrated by Uyema Michiro, has been scanned and archived on a website. Link to the website is in the description below. The manga itself was apparently made for a toy catalog during the promotion of the movie. In the Squad Commander PC game, one interesting original character not seen in the movies or merchandise is known as Vasquez, a female Commando Elite. The character in general is an Easter egg to Private First Class Jeanette Vasquez from the sci-fi horror blockbuster film Aliens. During the 25th anniversary of the Small Soldiers movie, Corey Coleman of Double Toasted podcast on YouTube briefly mentions the existence of a canceled Small Soldiers Saturday morning cartoon by a studio called Human Code.
I digress. The thing is, that other division, when I got there, they were working on a series, a TV show for Small Soldiers, and it looked cool because it was going to be a 3D animated cell shaded show. Okay. And yeah, they had sold it, man, and they were in mid production on this, and I remember going down there and talking to them, and they were, showing me all kind of cool stuff from it, and concept animation and everything. And then the movie bombed. And they're like, "Yep, well, you ain't finishing that shit." They came and yanked the plug on it. And yeah, I forgot about that. But it looked like it would have been a cool show. Show probably would have been better than the movie. Yeah. If they had a chance to do it, and they just didn't get that chance, man.
That's too bad.
Yeah, it was too bad. And the thing is,
Bone Thugs and Harmony are a hip-hop group who made the song War with an accompanying music video that you are seeing right now. The song interpolates the chorus of Edwin Starr's 1970 song of the same name, which is the song you actually hear in the movie during the scooter chase scene. Bobby Labonte drove this stock car with a promotional decal on the hood of the car with Major Chip Hazard in 2 races during the 1998 NASCAR Winston Cup season for the Joe Gibbs Racing in the Winston 500 at Talladega Superspeedway on Sunday, October 11th. Labonte started in 2nd position, led 9 laps, and finished 6th. The following weekend in the Pepsi 400 at Daytona International Speedway on Saturday, October 17th, Labonte started on the pole, led 4 laps, and finished 2nd. Small Soldiers' VHS release made it one of the only PG-13 movies to be sold in the clamshell case. We have reached the end of the Iceberg. Thank you all so much for watching and supporting our passion project during the month of Small Soldiers. Next week's video will be the full Iceberg, so you can sit back, relax, and enjoy all 3 parts in one long segment. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more Super Media Runners. Thank you.